If you've been listening to parliament debates or simply following them on social media or just listening to our politicians argue with each other, there's one question that may have popped into your head at some point. Why do our netas talk so much about Jawaharlal Nehru? I mean, the latest debate in parliament was rather descriptively titled India's Strong, Successful and Decisive Operation Sindoor. So you would expect sundry responses to Pakistan's Army Chief, General Asim Munir, or of course Donald Trump. But the most popular reference by politicians of all parties was someone who died more than 60 years ago, India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. This may not be the first debate where this happened, but it's the latest one, and it gives us a good reason to get into this Nehru obsession. First of all, let me make it clear. When I say Nehru obsession, it doesn't mean everyone's a fan of Nehru. Far from it. Look at the list of speakers that brought up Nehru on just the first day of the debate in Lok Sabha. They're from across party lines. The young NDA MP Shambhavi from Chirag Paswan's party, who was obviously critical. Two BJP MPs, Tejasvi Surya and Jugal Kishore Sharma. NCPs Supriya Sule, left MP S. Venkatesan. There's also independent MP Pappu Yadav, Samajwadi MP Dharmendra Yadav, and Congress MP Saptagiri Sankar Ulaka, Brijendra Singh Ola, Vishal Patil, and Gurjeet Singh Aujla. That's 11 out of the 45 MPs bringing up the Nehru name. And it may seem normal for Congressis to hark back to their supposed glory days, but strangely enough, it's the government and their allies who use Nehru more to make their strongest argument. How Nehru's policies and engagement with the world led to A, a compromise on Kashmir, and B, an image of India as subservient in the world. This provides for them a foil to show the current government as muscular and much more of a force to reckon with. So there's all around Nehru bashing, and then from the other side, Nehru's defense. But what I find interesting is you'd expect this from the seasoned and mature politicians. But what if I tell you that it's really the young ones who do it too? Take, for instance, one of the country's youngest MPs, 27-year-old Shambhavi Choudhury from Samastipur in Bihar. She's from Lady Shriram College, and you'd think that her references about how the Congress or the UPA really messed itself up would be from her lifetime, i.e. when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister, or when Tejasvi Yadav was in charge in her state around the time when she became a voter. But she went right back to 1962 and her understanding of history and talked about how India went crying to John F. Kennedy. She obviously blamed Nehru for this international embarrassment, but some of her comments about him were later expunged. Then there's the other young MP, Bangalore South's Tejasvi Surya. In his 15-minute speech, the BJP MP very confidently declared that since 1947, it's been the Congress's policy to systematically and deliberately weaken the armed forces. I'm quoting here. Surya referred to a conversation of Nehru to state that he was against modernization of the armed forces because of India's stated policy of non-violence. Of course, he didn't mention that it was Nehru who set up the elite National Defense Academy at Khadakwasla, which trains our officers to this day. Now, it's normal for Congress MPs to defend their first Prime Minister, like Saptagiri Ulaka made the point that after the 1962 crisis with China, Nehru did provide answers to his detractors and replied to questions that were raised by opposition leaders like Atal Bihari Vajpayee. But the real sense that emerged from watching these debates is that Jawaharlal Nehru isn't really someone that is limited to the Congress. He's too tall a statesman to bracket into that, and that's why we had other politicians defending him. Former Minister A. Raja agreed with Ulaka and said that Nehru was transparent about the loss in the hands of China and did some real soul-searching about why it happened. Supriya Sule recalled how when she went as a government delegate on the diplomacy tour abroad, she was told, "You come from the land of Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, Indira Gandhi and Modi." DMK's Kanimodi chided the BJP by saying, I do not think that even the Congress people remembers Jawaharlal Nehru ji as much as you do. She also said, today all over the world, young people are finding out and wanting to know more about Jawaharlal Nehru ji because he was a person who had such a power to change history, to do everything. Imagine having such a power till today. So those are the tremendous words of praise from those that aren't always fans of the Congress party. But that doesn't matter. In a polarized world such as ours, it's very difficult to change people's minds through words. And that's why, despite such rebukes by the opposition, the government and the BJP kept using Nehru to make their own respective points. Nishikant Dubey had a valid point when he said that Nehru was the first Prime Minister, and so his policies were a really relevant debate reference because they impacted all policies and decisions that came after. But Priyanka Gandhi Vadra pointed out that it wasn't fair to just hark back to the past without answering the opposition's questions about the present. And so, the fight continued. Home Minister Amit Shah read out from the selected works of Jawaharlal Nehru, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi made at least 13 references to him. To really figure out why Nehru is everywhere, I asked an expert, historian Srinath Raghavan. The noted author told me that it was a combination of factors, and the first one was that being the only Prime Minister who had completed 3 terms, he was the benchmark for the government to present its achievements. While many feel that the opposition may be ideological, Raghavan pointed out that it was more about the kind of nationalism and state building the government wants to project. On foreign policy, for instance, the government pitched itself as a new India, but Raghavan said that in reality, there is greater continuity with the past in wanting to achieve strategic autonomy, to multilateralize global systems. These are all ideas that were first put on the table during the Nehru years, he said. Most importantly, Raghavan points out that while India may be materially better off than what it was during the 50s, its standing in the global south is nothing like what it was. And so, there you have it. This, in a nutshell, may explain what I like to call the Nehru complex. Hopefully, you have clarity on why 6 decades on, there are so many books, so much newsprint, and videos about Pandit Nehru. Let me know what I should tell you about next week.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले.
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.